Welcome to Love Life for Singles. I'm your host, Jane Donovan, and this is the show that helps you to have a connective, successful, and most important of all, fun social life.
Hi, welcome to this week's episode. This week, I want to be talking about something that I think is going to help a lot of people when they're looking for a compatible person to date. One of the things that the majority of people tell me they're looking for is somebody who shares common interests. Now, if you meet somebody and you have common interests, of course, that's fantastic because you get to share those interests together. However, where my concern comes in is when people are rigid on this, that their future potential partner has to share the same interests, or at least some of them, preferably the majority of them. And that is kind of like finding a needle in a haystack. But while that is a reason that it's going to be difficult for you to perhaps meet somebody that might meet your criteria, where my concern comes in is that I do not genuinely believe that that is necessary for you to have a beautiful relationship with someone. Somebody reminded me of a really funny saying recently where they said, Jane, not everyone in church gets along. And I thought that's so true. And yet there they all are sharing a common interest or belief. And so when you're looking at having a list of interests or activities that you enjoy doing in your spare time, and you're seeking a partner who shares the same, your door is getting very narrow. And as I've said in other episodes, what you want to do is get your door wider open, but with good conscious awareness of genuinely what is going to bring you happiness in a relationship. I want to use my own example here, my own personal example. When I met my husband 20 years ago, he was a triathlete. He was, in fact, I was at a dinner and on a Saturday night, and the Sunday morning he was going off to compete in a triathlon. So for those that don't know, that involves 3 legs of bike riding, running and swimming. Now, I had been very fit in the past where I had been a dancer, but I hadn't been able to dance for a while due to injuries. And I certainly wasn't somebody that was going to go running or bike riding because of my knee injuries. So when I met him, I was really drawn to him. I thought he was fabulous. But I do remember saying very clearly to a friend, he wouldn't be interested in me because I can't run and swim. I can swim. I can't run and bike ride. And yet he was interested. He had other interests that took time for me to find out, and I had other interests that took time for him to find out. And in fact, I'm actually really happy to share that 20 years later, I still learn new things about him, of things he has been interested in, or maybe he's been interested in just in his own internal way without actually even sharing it with me. So we continue to find common ground, or we also continue to find new things to bring to each other's lives. Now, I could think of nothing more exciting than meeting somebody new. And since I'm in a relationship, I still enjoy meeting new people and I still enjoy making new friends. And yes, I also look for people that have got common interests to me. But there's nothing more stimulating than meeting somebody who has an interest or a hobby or activity or something that they enjoy spending time involved with that I've never been a part of before. And that opens my world to something new. That might be something I'm not interested in, but I'll certainly be interested in hearing about it and consider it. Compatibility on interests is absolutely not necessary. What ends up happening in my house, now my husband no longer does triathlons, but he's big on fishing. I can't stand fishing. Me personally, don't want to insult the gorgeous people out there that enjoy fishing. I can't stand the idea of being around something in the death throes as they're being killed. No matter how humanely, no matter how respectfully it's being done, I can't stand it. So what do we do in our house? Simon goes off fishing and I spend that day doing what I want to do that I know he doesn't particularly enjoy doing. And what do you do at the end of the day? You come back together and you're both happy because you've been off doing your own thing. We need to continue to maintain our independence, We need to continue to maintain our own sense of self, of what it is that pleases us. And I actually think a relationship where you're spending 24/7 together, or where you're spending huge amounts of time together ensuring that everything is compatible in life, is actually almost bordering on codependency. So it is really healthy to have your own things. You don't need to be alarmed if you meet, let's say it's a guy that meets a girl, and I've had this said to me, where they've met a girl and she enjoys renovating homes. Maybe she's even a bit of a property developer, but she does up homes and sells them, or maybe she's got her own home and she's just enjoying renovating a really old home. And the guy says, oh, she was so nice, but you know what? I couldn't stand renovating. I'm not a handyman and I hate doing that stuff. Well, here's the wake-up call. She actually doesn't need you to do that stuff. She's already doing it. And she doesn't do it 24/7. Maybe at the moment she's spending a lot of time doing the renovating because she is desiring a relationship and she would like to have a man in her life. But while he's not there, she's got time that she can devote to something else. Now, while we're on time, another little tidbit. I often hear people saying that he or she's really lovely, however they're so busy. People are busy when they're single. They get busy. They've got time. They don't have the time that is devoted to being in a relationship. But if they meet somebody special, the vast majority of people I know will create time for that person. So don't rule somebody out as not being compatible because they don't appear to have time for you. The chances are, in time, they will make time for you if you become more important to them. And so back onto the hobbies and interests is that the girl who's renovating her home, she will just do it slower, or she'll do it when you're busy doing your things. And then again, you both come back together after you've spent time doing your own things, sharing your happiness of what it is you've done. I love hearing the stories of my husband coming back from fishing, and he talks about the tranquility of the ocean, and he talks about, what he sees in the wildlife out there. He loves it. And that's beautiful to hear. He likes to hear, I love catching up with my girlfriends. I love girl time. That's really important to me. He doesn't so much want to hang out with the girls. I mean, he can, but it's better when it's just the girls. That's what I like. So I will go and do that when he goes fishing, and then I come back and I share the stories that I've enjoyed. So you do not have to have common interests. You really don't. Now, ideally, I guess it would be great if you've got some of your own interests that you don't have in common, but you can have the opportunity to introduce them to each other. For example, I had never been a good cook. Cooking for me was something that I did on a necessity basis. It was like, I need to fuel my body, so I'm going to do this as efficiently as I can. Now, my husband, on the other hand, he really enjoyed when life's not busy. He really enjoys spending a whole day cooking a gorgeous dinner party, whether it's just for the two of us or our children, or whether it's involving friends. I actually learnt to do that. He introduced that to me, and I loved it. Now, for me, I was big on the performing arts, so I introduced that to my husband. Some of it he likes, some of it he doesn't. So he joins me when there's things he does like, and when he doesn't, I've got my other friends that I've always done that with to do with. So I guess in a perfect world, look for things that you can introduce to somebody as a new experience for them. Look at things that maybe you do have in common, or maybe look for things that you don't have in common in hobbies and interests, that you can continue to maintain your own space within the relationship. It is always very exciting when you meet somebody that you're really connected with and your heart's racing and your mind doesn't stop thinking about them and you can't wait to see them again. That's really euphoric. It's an amazing experience. And in the early stages, and this can continue on for quite a while for some people, you really do want to be with that person all the time. And of course, a little mistake that can happen there does happen very much with people when they're much younger, in their teenage years or 20s. But I do see it happen again too in older life, is where you want to be with that person, and so you drop everything to be with them. And you kind of let your existing life go a little bit. Now, it's not ideal to do that because eventually a relationship kind of settles a bit. And it isn't that the excitement leaves, it's just that the the need to want to be there, that desire to want to be with them all the time, that edge kind of comes off a bit and it gets a bit more stabilized. And so it is important that you do maintain your individuality. And so often the other person has been attracted to you because you do have your own stuff going on. So try to watch that you're not shutting a door or restricting a door of who you could be meeting and who you potentially could be dating based on they must share my interests. Keep an open mind as to whether that really is your truth, that you really have to share common interests of everything, or whether some of them you'd be happy to maintain individually, or whether some of them you'd be excited to actually introduce to somebody who's never experienced that. You know, you might enjoy going water skiing and somebody doesn't enjoy water skiing, but what they might love is the river, and they might like being the one that's making the beautiful lunch or dinner on the banks of the river while you're out water skiing with your friends. You know, there are compatibilities in lifestyle. I love painting. I paint like canvases. And nothing would be happier than for my husband to be, you know, off the jetty fishing, and I'll be sitting there painting the scenery. You can find ways of still being together while maintaining different hobbies and interests. So I hope that's helped you to expand or really consider if that's been something that perhaps you've self-sabotaged a little bit on. Have a gorgeous week, and until next week, I hope you've enjoyed listening, and I'll be recording more for you soon. Have a great day. Bye.
If you're ready to step outside your comfort zone and really engage in having a connective, successful and fun social life, then head to my website, janedonovan.com.au, where I have links to all sorts of opportunities and resources just for singles. And most important of all, I really want you to remember, you are worthy.